Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It's time for Taroscopes again. We're going to be doing the Taroscopes for the sign of Taurus. That's Taurus Sun, Taurus Moon, Taurus Rising for the month of January 2025. As we enter 2025, we may or may not realize that we're in a new vibration. 2025 is considered a 9 universal year, and the 9 universal year is about separating the wheat from the chaff. And so we have a lot of big changes happening in 2025. One that is very significant, actually two probably, which is very significant to the sign of Taurus. First of all, probably the most significant thing is that Uranus, who's been in Taurus since 2018, I believe it went in, um, is now exiting Taurus for a couple of months, dipping its toe, Uranus, into the next sign of Gemini, but then moving back into Taurus in order to go back into those last few degrees of Taurus. It's not quite done. Uranus is not quite done with Taurus, but you will get a little bit of a respite with that. The other thing is that your ruling planet Venus will be going through a retrograde cycle, and it is a challenging cycle. We have right now we have Venus evening star, and when Venus goes through its retrograde motion, it's going to go retrograde in Aries. It's going to have its Venus star point at about 3 degrees of Aries, which is when the Sun and Venus conjoin. Venus in the heart of the Sun, starting a new cycle, a new Venus star point cycle in Aries. So it's significant because it becomes a morning star, and the morning star is much more of uh, a warlike Venus, right? Fighting for your land, fighting for your clan, uh, fighting for your survival, perhaps. So we definitely have a lot of things moving around, a lot of moving parts in this last year. But this is a year of separating the wheat from the chaff. So we're all going to be doing this, whether you're a Taurus or not. But let's see how specifically, excuse me. This was a gift from a client, Cheryl. Sorry, Cheryl. And it's beautiful and I love it. And it's got trees on it. So I thought it was apropos to be drinking uh, my morning coffee from that. I'm going to be using the Wildwood deck to do the reading, but let's jump into the astrology. Um, let's jump into the astrology. Here we go. All right. Just let me move forward here because we're going to be moving into, I realize this isn't you. There we go, Taurus. All right. So, yeah, so we're in a 9 year. The 9 year happens to be in the tarot. The 9 is the vibration of the hermit. 9 is about forgiveness and healing and sharing your wisdom and shining your light. I think the symbol for this year is the lantern. Is the lantern. How do you choose to shine your light? Okay, so we start the month with Mars. Down here, we started with Mars in Leo. It backs into Cancer on the 6th of November. Excuse me, sorry, the 6th of January, huh, which is a Tower Day, by the way, January 6th, 2025. So we can expect the unexpected with that. Um, and so you're moving, so Mars is moving from the 4th house to the 3rd house as it moves, spends the rest of its retrograde cycle in Cancer, going as far back as 17 degrees of Cancer, sitting in your 3rd house. We could have some issues with siblings or issues in your local environment. The 3rd house is the, right outside your front door. So there could be some, and Mars in in Cancer can sometimes be frustrating, and there's old like old uh, resentments from the past, because Cancer deals with like a nostalgia about the past. There may actually be some things that come up for you around your childhood, that you're either remembering or coming up, or that you maybe thought you had dealt with, but perhaps not quite so. And so that's going to come up. And then eventually, when Mars moves direct, you'll be able to sweep that out. But Mars is probably spending uh, about where it normally spends 6 weeks in an area of your chart. Uh, it will spend 6 months. So that area of your chart, and that area goes from 17 degrees of Cancer to 7 degrees of Leo. So if you have any planets in that area in your chart, and you would have to know your chart for that, then um, those planets are highlighted. And Mars is about how you utilize your energy. And then if you don't have planets there, this Mars energy could be aspecting planets in your chart. Or if you don't have them in aspecting any planets in your chart, which is unlikely. But anyway, then you can look at the house that it's sitting in. And this chart here is for a Taurus rising. So if you're a Taurus, this can apply to you. It is especially apply to you if you're a Taurus rising. But there's themes and the like that come up. Now, what specifically you're going to feel to your chart is specific to you and specific to your chart. So if you're more interested in knowing how the energies of 2025 are going to affect you personally, as opposed to just all Tauruses or all people with Taurus rising, would be to get a personal reading. I do personal readings. They're hour or nine. They're either 60 minutes or 90 minutes. They're all done on Zoom. They're all recorded, and you get to keep them and use them as a guide, perhaps, or a study on yourself. It's very deep stuff. A lot of information comes up, and it's almost like a fire hose of information when you're getting a reading of this nature. It is a combination of astrology, numerology, and Kabbalah. So if you're interested in that, you can go to my channel. Excuse me, go to my website, theseedsoftransformation.com, and go to the services page under, I think, metaphysical services or readings, and you'll see those two options. And I do have appointments available still. And when they fill up, I do open up, but I do it in, you know. So anyway, so if you're interested in that, you certainly can do that. All right. Now, as a Venus ruled sign, where is Venus starting? Venus is starting in Aquarius this month and then moving into Pisces, where it spends most of its month. It's in the house of, initially in the house of your public standing, the 10th house, the most public house. You have the sun there, at least for half of the month, or a little less than half of the month. And so you're going to be seen this month, okay? You have Pluto up there now for good, or for 20 years anyway. So that is a transformational energy. And it's also because it's Aquarius, a more collective energy. And Taurus really is about themselves and about their world and creating safety and security in their world. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because that's your function. You're here to stabilize things. And so, but you will see that the outside world, as you're watching and trying to stabilize your world, which isn't very easy when you have Uranus in the first house, but that will move into the second house, which is your money house, when it goes into when it goes into Gemini. So the thing about Uranus moving through Taurus and then moving through Gemini, it spends 7 years in Gemini, and then eventually it goes into Cancer, and then it, continues 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. Is it's actually for Taurus totally Uranian energy is totally like revamping how you see yourself, what your values are, and how you think. So while Taurus is usually that sort of super stable energy, the fact that Uranus is moving through these signs, or moving through Taurus, now is almost done, going to be moving into Gemini, and then moving into to Cancer eventually, 7 years after it moves into Gemini. Taurus is really going through a very profound transformation, an awakening of who they are. Like a lot of Tauruses that I know are very soul to the earth, help you if you need help, loyal to a fault sometimes. And this energy just and there's nothing wrong with any of those things, because as I said, that is the Taurus way. But with this transpersonal planet moving through this part of the chart, it really does wake you up to bigger and broader possibilities that you may have been um, not so much blind to, but not perhaps thinking it was necessary for you to apply them in your life. And that, of course, has changed ever since Uranus moved into Aquarius. As I said, the sun, while in Taurus, is going to be in your ninth house. So this is a time where you can, this is beginning of the month. So this is up to, I think, the 19th or the 20th when it moves into Aquarius. Let me see. Moves into Aquarius on the 19th. So the beginning of December, you have the sun in Capricorn sitting in that ninth house. So if there's any legal things coming up, this would illuminate them. We also have Mercury there. Mercury actually spends most of its time in Capricorn this month. And so this is Mercury in Capricorn is the voice of authority. And so as it moves through that house of what is true, what is lawful, you may be somebody who is an authority in those things, or there is authority around those things. So be aware. Although Tauruses are not usually the ones who are going to cause trouble, unless you're on the road. I think they did a survey, and the sign most associated with car accidents is Taurus. And I think it's because they're stubborn and they're like, this is my lane, you can't have it. And they'll fight for their lane. And I think sometimes that causes trouble. I could be wrong about that. And maybe things have changed. There's going to be a full moon first on the, let's see, what day is the full moon? The full moon's on the 13th. It's in Cancer. This is a very emotional sign to have a full moon. The moon loves being in Cancer. It's the sign, it's the planet that is the ruler of Cancer, but it is deeply emotional, and it is going to be happening in that house of your local neighborhood or your siblings. With Mars there, this can create emotional upheavals. Just be aware of that. And that full moon, as I said, is on the 13th. Now that is that's a week before the inauguration. So part of that could be something like that. You may have some neighbors who have their dumb flags out or something. Um, we have, let's see, what else do I want to say? Your ruling planet, as it starts in Aquarius, then moves into Pisces in the 11th house. Venus loves, it's exalted in Pisces. It's a lovely energy. This is a really nice time to get together with friends or people of like minds, finding your tribe perhaps at this time. The nodes of the moon actually are changing as well. The nodes of the moon are, the north node is in Aries, the south node is in Libra, is going to shift on the 11th, and the north node is going to move into Pisces. It's very close to Neptune. It will eventually conjoin Neptune. And so we're off to the races with that north node in Pisces. It's been in Aries, so it's been about asserting yourself and putting yourself out there and fighting for what you feel is instinctual for yourself. As the north node moves into Pisces, we're being asked to shift gears. And when the north node moves into Pisces, Mars is less of an issue, and we move into Neptune and Jupiter, which are the two planets that rule Pisces. And at the same time, the south node, which always goes along with the north node because it's 2 points, along a line, is going to be going into Virgo. And Virgo is about fixing what's broken. And there's a lot of talent in that Virgo South Node, but it's also going to be requiring us to let go of perfectionism. And things have to be just right before I decide, right? No, we have to sort of let go of that. A lot of healing uh, is possible with this energy, so it is kind of a good idea and a good thing to see, but it is in its way a whole new focus of our evolution. And our evolution goes from um, this is who I am, and this is who we are, and this is how we define our relationships, to we are all one, and we need to have compassion, and we need to let go of the criticism, perhaps, of each other, and moving to a more healing mode. So I think that is just a general theme for all of us. Okay. Let me see. Is there anything else I want to? I'm just looking at what's going on for the month, and I want to see if I know that Venus is Venus doing something big this month. Oh, Venus is actually making a conjunction, and you can see Venus here with Saturn. That's going to happen on the 18th. And let me see what degree that is, because that's going to, on the 18th. Let's see here. These ephemeruses are so very small. Venus at 16 and Saturn at, is this noon? I think this is noon, right? Midnight. Oh, midnight. Okay. Um, so it could be 15 or 16 degrees of Pisces. So right in the middle of Pisces. Interesting. And then Saturn is going to move out of Pisces for a little bit this year, moving into Aries and then moving back into Pisces to finish off the Pisces energy. But there's a lot of that happening this year. And if you stay with me this year, we'll talk all about it. Okay, great. So let's stop the share now. And we'll get to the tarot part of the tarot scope. And I'm going to be using, as I said, the Wildwood deck for Taurus. I love nature-inspired decks for earth signs. I find them very simpatico with the sign. All right, so what is it that you need to be aware of this month, Taurus? Now, this could apply to you, or maybe it doesn't. You can always come back to it and see if it works. Again, this is more of a general reading, although sometimes specific things do come out. So let's see what does Taurus need to focus on, be aware of, what's ahead for Taurus in in the month of January. Show me, show me, show me. Who's the show me state? It's, I think, because Ohio, you're the show me state? Or are you the Buckeye state? Or is that Indiana? Anyway, that's somewhere in there. Whoever. Missouri? I'm all in the same area, so it's got to be some. I could be totally wrong, from the East Coast. We don't always have the facts down quite right. General vicinity stuff, perhaps. Okay, let's see what we have here. We start with the Queen of Arrows. The Queen of Arrows. This is the Queen of Swords. Is it swords in this deck? Yeah, I think the arrows are swords in this deck. So it's interesting because the Queen of Arrows here, the swan, looks so graceful. Looks like they're barely doing anything. It's like on the surface, everything looks calm and beautiful and fluffy, but underneath, those feet are going getting it around. So there's a sort of a gliding and flowing energy to the swan. The swans are also highly protective of their nests and they do keep their partners for life. They say when a partner dies, the other one, dies shortly thereafter, right? So there's this loyalty, there's this seeming ease of movement, but that ease of movement comes from a lot of really hard work. You make it look easy. You make it look easy. Let's see what's challenging that. We have the Five of Cups in this deck. It's ecstasy, but five is about change. And so there's big changes that are sort of uh, ruffling your feathers, we'll say, where you normally would be sort of just going along, looking beautiful, like it's like just like any other day. There are feelings that are coming up that are ruffling your feathers. Let's see what's at the root of that. I get the page of whoops. The Page of Arrows. Ooh, 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 where are we there? Sorry, guys. I know this is very annoying. Ah, there we go. The Page of Arrows. This is the Wren. Now, I have a number of wrens that live around my house. And the one thing about the wren is that they're very outspoken. If you hear a really loud bird and you expect to see a really big bird, you see a little bird, right? And they have something to say and they will say it. They're not afraid of anything really, the wren, when they have their voice heard. And so I think you may have said something. Um, Normally people don't expect you to say things, I think, in a way, because you're so sort of like, ooh, right? And all of a sudden you piped up. And I think you piped up, this is in the regular tarot, this would be the page of swords. So it's like you had your ear to you were listening and you heard some things and you're like, wait a minute, that's dissonant in my that doesn't sound right, right? So perhaps you piped up about something. Let's see what's in the past. Oh, we have the shaman. This is the magician card. This is somebody who's used to having a power over their environment, creating the world that they're in. So you have that capacity. Let's see what's in the sky. We have the Eight of Arrows, struggle. This is really about um, like having to move through the slings and arrows, and continue to like just put one foot in front of the other. Um, and it's all arrows, and this is about ideas. Um, an idea has, who this kind of reminds me of. I don't know what sign she is, but there's a woman, Jessica Denson, and she used to be on Midas Touch, and now she's talking about, and she brought up she thought the election was rigged or fixed or something, and the Midas Touch dropped her like a sack of potatoes. Um, and yet she was one of the few people who spoke out, and she continues to speak out in different ways, and I feel like this is her. Now, I don't know if she's a Taurus, but if you know what I'm talking about, this is kind of the thing that you may have to face this month, or maybe you're already facing it. This may have already happened to you. Let's see what the immediate future is. We have the Queen of Vessels, salmon. Salmon is one of the oldest symbols of wisdom. Um, they say that they eat hazelnuts. There's the hazelnut tree above it. Um, and of course, nuts are very good for your brain. Salmon is very good for your brain. Um, so I would say what this is saying is that you want to make sure over this month is that you take really good care of yourself. Make sure you're feeding your brain, feeding it with the right foods. Maybe eat some salmon, right? Feeding with the right foods and feeding it with the right information. She is going upstream, so it's still a struggle, but it's almost like you're being driven by an instinct to move upstream against the grain, which isn't generally a Taurus thing. It's not like they go with things. It's just that oftentimes, Taurus isn't known for just going with the crowd. But Tauruses can be known for watching the crowd pass their front gate, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, well, those guys are doing that, right?" They're not usually in the group necessarily because they're concerned with their survival in their own little like space, which is a Taurus energy. So I do feel like you're uh, perhaps speaking up and moving forward, and it's not easy, and it's not like you're afraid of things not being it's not like you desire things to be easy all the time, but you do realize that if you want to create the world that you want to be in, because you have that experience, that it's going to take a lot of effort, and it looks like you're putting in the effort. How it's seen from the outside, we have the Empress. The Empress is a Venus ruled card, and so people see you kind of in your power, in your earthly power this month. In your domestic situation, a decision has to be made. You've come to a doorway of sorts. You're on fire, You're on fire and you have to take that step through. So it seems like you know you're at the precipice of something. I'm not sure you actually make the decision to step through this month, but you see that a decision needs to be made. And you're a person on fire. You on fire. Again, Taurus, not usually the most fiery of most sensual, yes, but not always the most fiery. You're actually trying to quell the fire of Aries and take that energy that Aries has sort of spewed forth and take it to create a stable foundation so that eventually you can move. And then I think maybe that's what's happened. You've made sort of a stable foundation, and now you're moving out of that into maybe a different realm, uh, a different, maybe even you're doing something you haven't done before. And it is a struggle, but it's like there's something in you that says, I have to do this. Let's see, hopes and fears. The Six of Bows, this is abundance. Who doesn't, of course you're a Taurus, you want abundance, right? Um, we have the outcome is the what is this called? Seven of Bows, the seven of fire here. Um, it's clearance. This is about you see here we have some bows that are broken and some tools perhaps. It's time to uh, see where you're at, see what tools you have, and if there are tools that either are broken or not up to snuff, you release those. Perhaps they might actually be things. All right, let's see if we can get a major arcana. Ah, the uh the hanged man, or in this case the mirror. This is the mirror. So this is about acceptance. It's about transitions. It's about looking at things from a different perspective. um it's about looking at things from a different perspective. So you may feel it's interesting that you start here. Oops, sorry. See, I do this on my computer. I'm always afraid I'm going to shut my computer. So you're gliding. This is where you're at now. And this is what's ahead for you. Well, you're still in the water. You're still working the feelings. Now you're leaping out to move forward against the grain of something. And all in service of looking at it from a different perspective. This is a Neptune card. And as I said, we do have the North Node moving into Pisces and will be conjoining Neptune. I'm not sure it conjoins Neptune in January. It might. I haven't looked that deeply. Um, I do astrology every day. So if you really want to know what's going on every day, you can just tune into my morning walks through the garden, which, when it's really cold out, sometimes I don't make it into the garden. That's what it is. All right. So, let's see what's underneath it. Oh, the jackass. No, I'm sorry. Kicking it up, kicking it up. This is the Knight of Stones. The horse, it's a horse. Looks like a jackass to me, but either way, powerful. This is power. Horses are powerful. Um, and this is slow and steady. It's a slow, steady kind of trot. The King of Bows. This is the King of Fire. This is really about, in this deck especially, sort of separating yourself from the group. And the Five of Bows, empowerment, right? Five of Bows. This is on a hill. I think the chalk hills of something in England. It is the Herned, perhaps the hunter. It's a symbolic of fertility, which of course you know all about, Taurus, one of the most, if not the most sensual sign in the zodiac. Um, Loves to touch, loves to, well, right? So this is underneath it. An urge to stand out, to move forward, however, slowly, but with a lot of potency. So you have you sneaky little devils, you've been this is your past, the shaman. You've been casting the spell for a while, and January is the month that you come out and start your upstream journey. Your upstream journey. All right, I'm going to pull a Tree of Life Oracle card for Taurus. All righty, let's see what we get for Taurus. Oh, excuse me. This is called the Tree of Life Oracle. It's very hard to shuffle. I think maybe my shuffling hands are getting too old. Either that or these cards are too hard to I guess I should shuffle them like this. It'll be give myself give my little fingers a break. All right, Tree of Life Oracle. What advice do you have for Taurus for the month of January 2024? So I am starting a membership on this channel. If you have become a member, thank you very much. Um, but the membership is really a way to support me in my work, and there'll be two. This is how I figured it out at this point. It may change. I may get another level, but the first level is just an access level. You'll be getting the same things that everybody gets on YouTube. I'm not going to stop doing my morning walkthrough and my taroscopes. I'll be doing my taroscopes, but some of the more sort of time-consuming astrology, Kabbalah stuff, I'm going to put on as a membership perk. So if you like that stuff from me, if you like when I do charts for famous people or situations, then you'd want to get the sort of upgraded level, and then you'll have access to that. And I'm going to try to put something new out um, at least twice a month. And so in January, I'm going to be putting out something that only members can see on the Mars retrograde cycle. I talk about it in other things, but exactly, for Mars, I think it's important, the Mars retrograde cycle, and probably be looking also at the change of the signs, this change in um, the nodes. Okay. The 16th path, the Hierophant, loyalty, kindness, and guidance. This is actually the path of Taurus. This is about listening to that small, still voice within. This is known as, I believe, the constituting intelligence. Let me see in the book. Is it the constituting or is it the luminous? Okay, hold on. 16th path. It says running between Hesed and Hokmah. This is this is Taurus in astrology. It is the path that marries your higher and lower self, and it is the beginning and end of who you are and why you are here. It calls you to act to claim your blessings. Actions will release them. So you are like doing that, Taurus. You are really saying, okay, I figured it out, and now I am going to go out there and I am going to ford the path that needs to be forded. Wow. Um, let's see if it talks about what intelligence this is. Hold on. Let's see if it lists it here. This is going to make me nuts. So give me a second. I'm going to tell you what it is. So I had to like move some things and the whole computer like, so hopefully. So the Hierophant at the 16th path is called the triumphal or eternal intelligence. For those of you who wanted to know, I wanted to know, I knew it, but it's not always easy to remember. Uh, it says this is the path of vow. Vow means nail, and it sort of nails things down pretty much. So fixed earth, right? Powerful is a powerful masculine one, which Taurus, the bull, is applied. It is fixed earth in the zodiac, meaning that it is a stable foundation. And here our earlier definition of this path, it called an stabilizing extreme, is particularly useful. All right. Says the idea that the Hierophant relates to memory may be considered in light of the meaning of the word vow, which also means nail or hook. So I also want to say that I think, we looked at the shaman in the past. This could also be, you might say, I've never done any shamanistic things, or I've never been the magician or anything like that. This could be a past life that's coming in to aid you. Because one of the things that I think this time in our evolution is that we have access to the past lives that helped us to get to this place, and we have access to the higher levels because we're all evolving together. Every level is opening up, and so because of this opening up, we have more access. And that access comes through our ability to that small still voice within, clear audience, hearing it. And so you may notice yourself hearing more things, and those things, and if you listen, that will guide you. That will guide you through some of the challenges that are probably ahead for all of us. So I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Welcome to this wonderful community, to my tried and true. Thank you. If you'd like to become a member of this channel, you can. It is not required to get the tarot scopes every month, but I do appreciate you. And we're on this journey together, and together we shall um, overcome, come over, and build that world that we see in our heart. Take care, everyone. Have a great January, and I'll see you again in February. Namaste.